Hi, I'm Rainbow Sparkle and I'm reading The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton. This is chapter 16. What happened in the Rocking Land? The Rocking Land was really most annoying. No sooner did the children stand up carefully and try to walk a few steps than the earth beneath them started to either fall away or tipped up or slank sideways in a very alarming manner. Then down they all went, rolling over and over. The old saucepanman made the most tremendous noise each time, and he almost cried when he saw how bent and battered his saucepans and kettles were getting. "Moonface!" yelled Joe. "How can we get out of here? Don't you know?" "We can only get out by going down the ladder that leads down the faraway tree," said Moonface back, who was busy rolling down a little hill that had suddenly appeared. "Look for it all the time or we'll never get away from here. As soon as the Rocking Land leaves the place where the faraway tree is, we've no way to escape." That gave the others a big shock. The thought of living in a land of bumps and jerks and jolts was not at all pleasant. They all began to look about for the hole through which they had come into the Rocking Land. Soon the earth began to do something rather different. It heaved up and down very quickly, as if it was breathing fast. Then it heaved up and threw the children and others into the air. When it breathed downwards, they rolled into holes and stayed there. It was dreadfully uncomfortable. "I'm getting awfully bruised," said Bessie. "For goodness sake, let's please find a place where we can get out of this land. I think we must be in the worst bit." As soon as the earth stopped heaving about, they all ran hard to find where a wood grew, and there, just inside the wood, they saw a shop. It was such a surprising thing to see a shop in the Rocking Land that they'd all stopped and stared hard. "What does it sell?" said Joe. "You don't feel well," said the saucepanman. "I don't feel well either. I feel as if I've been in a ship, rough at sea." "I said, I wonder what the shop sells, not do you feel well," said Joe. "No, I don't hear a bell," said the saucepanman, looking around as if he'd expected to see an enormous bell somewhere. Joe gave up. He looked hard at the shop. It had a wide stall with a tiny house behind it. No one seemed to be there, but smoke was coming out the chimney, so someone must live there, thought Joe. "Come on," he said to the others. "Take each other's hands and let's keep together. We'll go and see this funny shop and see if we can get any help." They walked up to it. The stall was piled high with cushions of all colours, each one with a rope to tie to it. "How funny," said Bessie in astonishment. "Cushions with ropes. Now who in the world would want to buy cushions here?" "Well, I would like one," said Moonface at once. "My goodness, if I had a fine fat cushion tied in front of me and another at the back, I wouldn't mind being bumped around quite so much." "Oh, of course. That's what the cushions and ropes are for," said Bessie. "Let's buy some, then we won't get bruised anymore." Just then, a sharp-nosed little woman with cushions tied all around her came out of the tiny house and looked at the children. She even had a small cushion tied on her head. She did look funny. They giggled. It was such a dreadful giggle that the woman looked cross and glared at them. "Do you want to buy my cushions?" she asked. "Oh, yes, please," said Moonface, and he took out his purse. "How much are they?" "5 silver bits for each cushion," said the woman, with her green little eyes shining as she saw Moonface's purse. Moonface looked at her in dismay. That's too high a price. I've only got 1 silver piece. Have you got any money, Saucepan? No, I don't sell honey, said Saucepanman. Money! Money! Shouted Moonface, showing the Saucepanman his purse. Oh, money, he said, taking out an enormous purse from one of his kettles. Oh, yes, I've plenty. But the great big purse was empty. The Saucepanman stared at it in dismay. All my money must have fallen out and rolled down the hill. All over the place, I've none left. The children had no money either, and the sharp-nosed little woman shook her head when Moonface begged her to lend them cushions in return for his 1 silver piece. I don't lend anything, she said, and went back to her house, banging the door loudly. Oh, it's too bad, said Moonface, taking hold of Joe's hand and walking off gloomily. Mean old thing. Look, there are some more people, all wearing cushions. Sure enough, they met plenty of strange-looking folk, well padded with cushions of all colours, sizes and shapes, walking carefully about the paths. One man wore a big eiderdown all around him, which Bessie thought was a fine idea. The rocking land is quite peaceful for a change, said Bessie. But she spoke too soon, for even as she said these words, the earth began to heave up. First one way, then another. Over went the children and everybody else, and rolled here and there and up and down, and the land poked up, first in one place and then another. Oh, groaned the children. I wish I had a few cushions, said Moonface, as he rolled his big nose and bent it sideways. Crash, clang, bang went the Saucepanman, rolling on the kettles and pans very noisily. Oh, look! Suddenly shrieked Bessie in delight as she pointed back towards the little wood where the shop was. The earth had risen steeply upwards and all the cushions were rolling down towards the children. Grab them, shouted Joe, so they all caught the cushions and began to tie them firmly around them. My goodness, it did make a difference when they rolled them all over themselves. It serves that mean old woman right, they said, as they tried hard to put cushions around themselves and around saucepans. Suddenly, one of the people of the rocking land gave a frightened shout and clutched hard held to a nearby tree. A strange wind blew with a low musical sound. Now what's going to happen? Said Moonface. Get a hold of a tree, get a hold of a tree, shouted the people around and about. When the wind makes that sound, it means that the whole of the land is going to tip up sideways and try to roll everybody off. Your only hope is to get hold of a tree. Sure enough, the land was slowly tipping. Not in bits and pieces as it had done before, but the whole of it. It was extraordinary. Moonface was frightened. He tried to get hold of a tree and he shouted to the others. Catch hold, grab a tree, hurry! But not one of them could, for they had left the wood behind them and were in a field. Slowly and surely the land tipped sideways and the children and Moonface and the old saucepanman began to roll downhill on their cushions. They were not bruised, but they were very, very frightened. What would happen to them when they rolled right off the land? Down they went, down, nearer and nearer the edge of the rocking land, and then quite suddenly Moonface disappeared. One moment he was there, the next he was gone. It was most peculiar. But in half a minute they heard his voice lift up, and the greatest excitement. I say, everyone, I've fallen down the hole, down the ladder that leads to the faraway tree quite by accident. I'll throw my cushions up through the hole so you'll know where it is. Roll to it if you can. Make haste. Then the children and the saucepanman saw 2 cushions appear, and they knew where the hole was. They did their best to roll into it, and one by one they got nearer and nearer. Bessie rolled right down into it, plop, and caught hold of the ladder as she fell. Joe rolled down next, missed the ladder, and landed with a bump on the tree branch at the top of the faraway tree. The saucepan man rolled next, but he got stuck in the hole, for he was so fat with the cushions wrapped around his kettles and saucepan that he could hardly even get through the hole. "Oh, quick, quick, quick," shouted Joe. "Get the saucepan man in. Poor Fanny will roll right past the hole. Please hurry." The saucepan man saw Fanny roll past. Poor Fanny! She rolled past the hole and couldn't possibly roll back again, for it would be all uphill now. Quick as lightning, the saucepan man reached his hand out and caught a hold of one of the ropes that tied the cushion to her back. She stopped suddenly. One of Saucepan Man's kettle gave way, and he fell through the hole in the ladder, making a tremendous noise. Moonface caught him, and then the Saucepan Man gave a big pull on the rope, and Fanny came through the hole too, landing softly on the top branch of the faraway tree, for she was well padded with her cushions. "Well, thank goodness you found the hole, Moonface," said everyone, still rather scared. "What an adventure!"